If I ask an average GTA player, what Ferrari-based cars do we have in GTA Online, unless you're someone who really loves cars, the answer will probably be 5 or 6 cars, including the Grotti Turismo and Itali GTO, but there are so many more Ferraris in the game. Let's get started and check out how many Ferraris are available in GTA Online. First of all, we have the Itali RSX. It's a 2-door sports car with a pretty good top speed, but its handling and acceleration are not that great, and it easily spins around corners due to low downforce. However, it's one of the best looking cars in the game, and it has tons of good customization options to make it even better. The RSX is available for purchase at $3,465,000, or a trade price of $2,598,750 on the legendary motorsport website. And the RSX features elements inspired by various cars, including the front splitter, inspired by the Lamborghini Centenario, side skirts by the Pininfarina Battista, rear mostly by the Ferrari F8 Tributo, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari SF90 Stradale. Next up, we have the Grotti Cheetah. It's an OG supercar, and one of my favorite cars in the story mode. It's not a fast car, but it has pretty impressive handling. However, performance-wise, it's in the last 10 to 15 cars in the superclass. This car used to be available on the legendary motorsport website for $650,000, but Rockstar has delisted it from the website. As for the design, it seems to draw significant inspiration from the Pagani Zonda tricolor, with the rear mostly inspired by the first-generation GT Hispano, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari Enzo. In the next spot, we have the Bestia GTS. It's a Grand Tourer, and it's in the sports class. Performance-wise, there's nothing special, but overall, it's not a bad car. If you want to buy it, it's available on legendary motorsport website for $610,000. This car has a really cool front appearance, and its overall look is good and unique. In terms of design, the side profile is much like the Ferrari FF, and the tail lamps are inspired by the Alfa Romeo Giulietta. It's safe to say the Bestia GTS is mainly a mix between the Ferrari FF and GTC 4 Lusso, and I think it's more of a Ferrari GTC 4 Lusso than an FF. Moving on to the next spot, we have the Gro Carbonisar. It's an OG sports car with a convertible roof and is one of the few hardtop convertibles in the game. This car has pretty good acceleration and top speed for an OG car, and also has decent handling. It's confirmed to be in GTA 6, so I think Rockstar should give it a massive enhancement, especially for the interior, as the current interior looks really terrible. Rockstar removed this car from the website, and you can't even store it if you steal it from the street, which is really unfortunate. And as for the design, the side profile seems to be inspired by the Nissan R35 GTR, the rear is mostly inspired by the Aston Martin V12 Zagato, and overall, it's primarily based on the Ferrari California. Next up, we have the Itali GTO. It's a sports car with great acceleration, handling, and top speed, and it's undoubtedly the fastest non-HSW sports car in the game. This car was pretty bad when it first released, but Rockstar later fixed it, and since then it's been my go-to sports car for racing in GTA Online, and I'm pretty sure it's in your top 10 favorite cars in the game. And if you want to buy it, it's available for $1,965,000 on the legendary motorsport website. As for its design, the front bumper and side skirts are inspired by the Mansory Stallone 812, the headlights by the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta, and the rear diffuser by the Vorsteiner 458 VX Aero Kit. And overall, it's primarily based on the Ferrari 812 Superfast. In the next spot, we have the Cheetah Classic. It's in the Sports Classic class, and it has great handling and good top speed. With all that, it climbs into the top 5 fastest sports classics in the game. If you want to buy this car, it's available for purchase for $865,000 on the legendary motorsport website, and it's also confirmed to be in GTA 6. The front design of this car is mostly inspired by the Ferrari 328, and the entire taillight area seems to be inspired by the Ferrari 365 GT4 BB, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari Testarossa. Moving on to the next spot, we have the Turismo R. It's a supercar, and performance-wise, it's not that great compared to other cars in its class, but it still has decent handling and top speed. This car is one of the earliest DLC cars in the game, but Rockstar added tons of good customization options to it a few years ago. It's available to purchase for $500,000 on the Legendary Motorsport website. The design of the Turismo R is influenced by multiple cars, including the front, is mainly inspired by the Ferrari X80 concept. The rear, including the taillights, possibly influenced by the Veilside NA1 kit for the Honda NSX, and it's primarily based on the LaFerrari. Next up, we have the Itali GTO Stinger TT. It's a two-door sports car with great acceleration and top speed. The Stinger TT is a HSW upgradable car, and with that upgrade, it can reach up to 168 miles per hour, giving it the highest top speed among sports cars in GTA Online. And if it had better handling, it would easily become the fastest sports car in the game. The Stinger TT also has Imani tech upgrades. If you want to buy it, it's available for $2,380,000 on the Legendary Motorsport website. As for its design, its headlights are inspired by the Ferrari Puro Sangue, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari Roma. In the next spot, we have the Turismo Classic. It's a sports classic car, and my favorite sports classic in the game. It has a cool-looking rear end, pop-up headlights, and good customization options, along with solid performance, and I think that's why it's on my favorite car list. The Turismo Classic is also an HSW upgradable car, and with that, it becomes the second fastest sports classic in the game. And if you want to buy it, it's available for $705,000 on the Legendary Motorsport website. As for its design, the rear of the Turismo Classic is inspired by the Ferrari Testarossa, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari F40. Moving on to the next spot, we have the X80 Proto. It's a supercar with average performance, though it does have a good top speed. However, it costs $2,700,000 on the Legendary Motorsport website. And I don't think it's worth the price because there are much better supercars in GTA Online for such a high amount of money. Design-wise, its front is mainly inspired by the Aspera Sparrow Haze concept, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari F80 concept. Next up we have the Stinger GT. It's a sports classic car, and performance-wise, there's nothing particularly special, and it sits in the middle of its class. This car looks a bit weird in my opinion, but given that it was added to the game in a very early stage, I think it's perfectly fine. The Stinger GT is another removed car, and used to be available on the Legendary Motorsport website for $875,000. And as for its design, the front end is similar to the Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. Overall, it's primarily based on the Ferrari 250 GTO. In the next spot, we have the Turismo Omaggio. It's a supercar, and it's in the top 4 fastest in its class. The top speed on the Omaggio is pretty bad, but its excellent handling has put it in such a high place. This car doesn't have HSW upgrades, but if it did, it would easily be the fastest supercar in the game. If you want to buy it, I highly recommend you do, especially if you are an old-gen player or a PC player, and it's available to purchase for $2,845,000 on the Legendary Motorsport website. As for its design, the middle section of its front splitter is inspired by the Ferrari 488 Pista, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari F8 Tributo. Moving on to the next spot, we have the Grotti Stinger. It's an OG sports classic car, but it's not a good car in terms of performance, especially the handling. This car tends to oversteer, but it's not too bad either. The Stinger has a soft top and isn't convertible, but there's a customization option to remove its top. This car has also been removed from the website and used to be available for $850,000 on the Legendary Motorsport. The Stinger is a combination of a few cars, including the front is mostly inspired by the Intermeccanica Italia Spider, Soft top designed by the Ferrari 275 GTS/4, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari 250 GT California Spider. Next up, we have the Grovione. It's another supercar with average performance. Specifically, the handling on this car is bad, and if you want to buy it, it costs $2,250,000 on the legendary Motorsport website. As for the design, its rear is heavily inspired by the McLaren P1 GTR, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari Cesari Competizione concept. In the next spot, we have the Grotti GT500. It's a two-door sports classic car, and performance-wise, it sits in the middle of its class. The GT500 is a fast car, but the handling is a bit challenging. It's another removed car, and was previously available on the legendary Motorsport website for $785,000. Its rear end and taillights seems to be inspired by the Lancia Flaminia Sport, and it's primarily based on the Ferrari 250 GT Berlinetta SWB. There's also a Ferrari F1 car you can build using the Progen PR4. The PR4 is primarily based on the McLaren MP4/5, but features a livery inspired by the Ferrari 641. If you want to buy the PR4, it's available on the legendary Motorsport website for $3,515,000. Let's list down all the Ferraris we'd love to see in the future. Sports cars based on the Ferrari 458 Italia, 488 Pista, Ferrari F50, 550 Maranello, 296 GTB, Ferrari Monza SP1, Daytona SP3, or Ferrari F355. Sports classics based on the Ferrari 288 GTO, 365 GTB for Daytona, or Dino 246 GT. Supercars based on the Ferrari F80, Ferrari FXX, and Ferrari 12 Cilindri. And finally, an SUV based on the Ferrari Purosangue. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and check out this video about all the Audis in GTA Online. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing. And see you in the next one.